Welcome back to Born to Brawl, the home of jaw-dropping knockouts and fearless warriors who live for the cage. And if there's one woman who perfectly embodies controlled chaos with lethal precision, it's Dakota Ditcheva. In today's video, we're breaking down Dakota Ditcheva's fastest first-round knockouts, including one that clocks in at an eye-watering 2 seconds. Yes, 2 seconds. If you thought women's MMA was slow-paced or lacking in fireworks, then you haven't seen what Dakota brings. A storm wrapped in silk. She's undefeated, ruthless, and fast. Like, blink and you miss it fast. But these finishes weren't just quick, they were surgical, brutal, and each one sent a warning shot to the rest of the flyweight division. Let's rewind the tapes and walk through her fastest destructions, from jaw-breaking knees to laser-precise right hands, and explore what makes this British sensation a living nightmare for her opponents. Buckle up, you're about to witness a masterclass in speed and savagery. Let's talk about the knockout that sent shockwaves across the MMA world, the kind of finish that instantly goes viral. 2 seconds, that's all it took. Just 2 heartbeats and the fight was over. Dakota Ditcheva didn't just win. She made a statement so loud it echoed through every corner of the combat sports community. What was supposed to be a real test of her skill and composure against a tough opponent like Lisa Molden turned into something completely different. A jaw-dropping, meme-worthy reminder that Dakota doesn't just show up to win, she shows up to destroy. Now you might be wondering, how is a 2-second knockout even possible? It sounds like something out of a video game or a highlight reel that's been edited for drama. But no, this was 100% real. Here's how it went down. The opening bell rings. The crowd is still settling in. Dakota takes one measured, confident step forward. Lisa Molden lifts her guard ever so slightly, a momentary movement, almost hesitant. That's all the window Dakota needs. With precision and explosiveness that has become her signature, she lets loose a thunderous right hand. It connects clean. No wind-up, no wasted motion, just pure timing and raw power. The punch lands flush on Molden's jaw, and that's it. Game over. Molden drops instantly like a puppet whose strings had been violently cut. Her body folds before it even hits the canvas. The referee, still stepping away from his opening position, doesn't even get the chance to react until it's already done. The entire sequence was so fast, so clinical, that even seasoned fans and commentators were left in stunned silence before the internet lit up. At home, fans hadn't even gotten comfortable in their seats. Some missed the punch entirely and had to catch the replay just to believe what happened. Social media exploded with replays, reactions, and disbelief. Memes, slow-motion breakdowns, and fight analysts flooded the timeline. Meanwhile, Dakota Ditcheva didn't flinch. She turned and walked off like she'd just wrapped up a sparring round, calm, composed, and completely unfazed. For her, this was just another day at the office. But here's the key thing. This wasn't luck. This wasn't some freak accident or chaotic flurry that happened to connect. Dakota had done her homework. She had studied Molden's past fights, noticed a pattern, a tendency to start slow, to throw a lazy jab right out of the gate. Dakota didn't just capitalize on a mistake. She anticipated it. She planned for it, and when the moment came, she didn't hesitate. She executed with ice-cold precision, and in doing so, she etched her name into the MMA history books, tying one of the fastest knockouts the sport has ever seen. It wasn't just a win, it was a message, a warning shot to anyone thinking she's just hype. Because with Dakota Ditcheva, it only takes a blink, and the fight is already over. Now let's shift to one of Dakota Ditcheva's most ruthless stoppages, a fight that turned into a clinic in bodywork, precision, and pure physical dominance. This wasn't just a win, this was a calculated dissection. A performance so punishing, it left her opponent folded in half like a deck chair tossed by the wind. The fight? Dakota versus Valentina Scatizzi, an Italian striker with a reputation for grit, power, and forward pressure. Scatizzi walked into the cage with confidence, maybe even a little swagger. She'd heard the hype around Dakota, the highlight reels, the finishes, the fast hands, but she thought she saw through it. In her mind, Dakota was flashy, maybe even a little overrated. All style, no substance. All speed, no grit. That, it turned out, was a massive mistake. From the very first exchange, Dakota set the tone. No wild exchanges, no rushing, just surgical distance management. She fired stiff jabs and stabbing front kicks, keeping Scatizzi on the end of her range. Every time Valentina tried to crash in, Dakota met her with a long limb or pivoted away, resetting the center. You could see the frustration building in Scatizzi's eyes. She couldn't find her rhythm, couldn't get comfortable. Then, without warning, Dakota flipped the script. She stepped in, closed the distance like a panther, and clinched. What followed was pure violence. Dakota launched knee after knee, targeted, deliberate, devastating, straight to the solar plexus. No wasted motion, no reckless aggression, just boom, 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 like a metronome of destruction. The impact of those knees was brutal. You could see it in Skatitsi's body language. Her posture crumbled with each blow. Her guard began to drop. Breathing became visibly difficult. And remember, this is a fighter used to pressure, someone who doesn't wilt easily. But Dakota had found the weak spot, and she wasn't letting up. Meanwhile, Skatitsi's left eye was ballooning from earlier strikes. Another reminder that this wasn't a one-dimensional attack. Dakota was picking her apart from all angles. Head, body, movement, everything was dialed in. One particularly vicious knee to the ribs made Skatitsi reel backward, hands low, gasping, desperate to reset. But there was no escape. Her body was shutting down. The pain was too much. The referee paused the fight and called for the doctor. A quick check, a shake of the head, and that was it. The bout was waved off. TKO, round 1. A dominant, one-sided dismantling of a respected, durable opponent. And what did Dakota do? She didn't jump on the cage, didn't scream into the camera. No ego, no arrogance. Just a calm nod, like a soldier completing a mission. It was the look of someone who had visualized every moment of that fight and then made it happen exactly as planned. That's what separates Dakota Ditcheva from so many rising stars. She doesn't just win, she dominates with precision. She breaks opponents down with the calm efficiency of a sniper, then finishes with the raw ferocity of a lion. Controlled violence, tactical destruction, and always composed. Next up, Hasna Jabber, a name that, for a brief moment, was louder than it should have been, because this wasn't just another fight for Dakota Ditcheva. This was personal. The stakes weren't just professional, they were emotional, legacy-based. This bout went down in front of Dakota's hometown crowd, with friends, family, and perhaps most importantly, her mother, sitting just feet away from the cage. And Jabber? She didn't read the room. In the lead-up to the fight, Hasna Jabber wasn't shy about talking smack. She questioned Dakota's resume, said she hadn't been tested, claimed she'd exposed the so-called golden girl, but the most biting jab of all, she called Dakota a Barbie and said she was going to bully the Barbie. It was the kind of trash talk designed to get under the skin, to shake confidence, to create tension. But if Jabber was trying to get into Dakota's head, she succeeded, just not in the way she hoped. Because when that cage door closed, Dakota didn't just show up to win, she showed up to teach a lesson. From the opening bell, it was clear Dakota was on another level. Her movement was fluid, almost hypnotic, switching stances with ease, bouncing in and out of range like she was skating on air. Every step she took was calculated, purposeful. Jabber came forward aggressively, loading up a looping right hand, maybe thinking she could overwhelm Dakota early. Big mistake. Just as that punch was winding up, Dakota timed her response with perfection. A push kick straight to the gut. And not just any push kick. This was a piston shot, a textbook teep delivered with sniper-level timing and maximum impact. You could see the air leave Jabber's body. Her torso crumpled, her face twisted in pain, and she stumbled backward, completely deflated. All that bravado? Gone, just like that. But Dakota didn't pounce wildly. She didn't need to. She advanced with cold, methodical calm, ice in her veins, eyes locked on target. She stalked Jabber like a predator who knew the prey was already wounded. A couple of brutal knees followed, landing clean to the midsection. Deep, punishing shots designed to break whatever resistance was left. And then, Jabber did something you rarely see in that situation. She signaled to the referee. She wanted out. That's right, she didn't get knocked out cold. She didn't go out on her shield. She quit. The pain, the pressure, the humiliation, it was too much. She waved it off herself. Another first-round finish, another highlight, but more than that, a statement. Dakota didn't just defend her turf, she owned it. In front of her people, with her mother watching ringside, she dismantled a trash-talking opponent and left no questions unanswered. It was a fight that showed not just her physical dominance, but her mental steel. The ability to stay composed, to stay deadly, even when the emotions are running high. Because here's the truth, you don't mess with Dakota Ditcheva in front of her hometown. You don't disrespect the work, the bloodline, the legacy, and you definitely don't call her a Barbie, unless you're ready to get schooled by a killer in lipstick and 4-ounce gloves. Next on the list, Catherine Corugini, a fight that, on paper looked like it might finally test Dakota Ditcheva's composure and ground game. Corrigini wasn't just another striker or stand-and-bang fighter. She came in with serious grappling credentials, a gritty, relentless pressure style that had overwhelmed opponents before. In the lead-up, she made it clear she wasn't buying into the Dakota hype. She believed Dakota wouldn't be able to handle the clinch, the takedown threat, or the grind. This wasn't supposed to be easy, but what unfolded inside the cage? It didn't just defy expectations, it shattered them. What happened was something straight out of a highlight reel. One of those finishes you watch 10 times in a row just to appreciate the timing, the execution, and the sheer inevitability of it. From the opening bell, Dakota looked completely unbothered. No nerves, no rush, no wasted motion. She stood there cool and composed, analyzing every twitch in Corrigini's stance. And when Corrigini came charging forward, trying to close the distance and impose her grappling, Dakota didn't flinch. She didn't even take a step back. Instead, she stood her ground, read the angle, and unleashed a perfectly timed right hand, straight down the pipe. Textbook mechanics. No looping windup, no haymaker desperation, just a clean, direct shot that split the guard and detonated on Corrigini's jaw. The effect was instant. Corrigini dropped like she'd been unplugged, flat, heavy, unconscious. Her game plan never had a chance to materialize. The grappling never even entered the picture. Dakota followed up with a couple of hammer fists, just enough to seal the deal and make sure the ref had no doubts. But truth be told, the fight was already over the moment that right hand landed. Round 1, less than a minute. That's how fast Dakota shut it down. And once again, her reaction said everything. No jumping on the cage, no screaming into the camera. She simply stood, turned, and walked away with the same calm expression she wore when the fight began. Almost emotionless, almost bored, because by this point in her career, this wasn't new anymore. This wasn't shocking. For fans, for commentators, even for her opponents. The question wasn't if Dakota Ditcheva would finish her next fight. It was how fast she would do it and what weapon she'd use this time. Every performance was another data point, another example of how dangerous she was, not just as a striker, but as a composed, patient, cold-blooded finisher. Her opponents came in with blueprints: grapple her, pressure her, wear her down, and they all left with the same realization. You can't pressure someone who's already figured you out before you've even started. Now let's dive into one of her most satisfying wins. Jenna Bishop, a rising name who came into the fight brimming with arrogance. She said Dakota was overhyped and that her wrestling would expose the British fighter. Bad move. From the first exchange, Dakota made her eat those words. She lit Bishop up with straight rights, front kicks, and most importantly, devastating knees to the body. Bishop tried grappling. Dakota shrugged her off. She even attempted a triangle choke that Dakota saw coming from a mile away. Midway through round 1, Dakota delivered a nuclear knee right up the middle. Bishop collapsed. Dakota walked away, gestured for her to stand up, and when she did, boom! Another combination dropped her like a sack of bricks. Finish, round 1. And maybe the most dominant performance of Dakota's career. Let's end with one of her most defining first-round performances. Taila Santos, former UFC title challenger. This was no soft opponent. Santos nearly beat Valentina Shevchenko and was expected to expose Dakota's supposed weaknesses. Instead, we got a masterclass in pressure, precision, and pain. Dakota came out like she'd been shot from a cannon, snapping Santos's head back with stiff jabs and front kicks. She stuffed takedowns. She reversed clinch positions. And when she found an opening, she unleashed a flurry of body shots, elbows, and a knee that echoed around the arena. Santos collapsed under the onslaught. The referee had no choice. TKO, round 1. And just like that, Dakota Ditcheva had defeated a former UFC title contender in less than 5 minutes. She danced, she smiled, and then she casually reminded the world that she's still undefeated. There you have it. Dakota Ditcheva's fastest and most brutal first-round knockouts. She's not just winning, she's erasing opponents. In a sport that often takes rounds to build drama, Dakota writes stories in seconds. Whether it's knees to the gut, sniper-like right hands, or mind-bending counters, she delivers violence in record time. Make no mistake, Dakota Ditcheva isn't just a future champion. She's already carving her name into the MMA history books. And if you love this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. We're Born to Brawl, and we'll keep bringing you the most savage highlights and rising legends in combat sports. Until next time, keep your guard up and never blink when Dakota's in the cage.